Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, ISLUF just filed an amendment to a material definitive agreement, and I am seeing a slight extension that signals a potentially drawn-out process. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company has pushed back a key deadline in their business combination, and we need to understand why that is happening. Alright, let's dive into what Israel Acquisitions Corp has reported. This filing is an update on a deal they've been working on, specifically an amendment to a business combination agreement. Think of it like extending the dating period before a merger or acquisition is finalized. So Israel Acquisitions Corp, or the company as they call themselves here, has been in talks with a company called Gadfin Ltd. They've had a business combination agreement, or BCA, in place for a while now. With several amendments already, it seems like mergers and acquisitions are rarely a quick process, and this one is no exception. What is new here is that on the 15th of April 2026, they inked a fourth amendment to this agreement. The big news inside this amendment is that they've extended the termination date of the overall deal. Originally set to expire earlier, it has now been pushed to May 15, 2026. All other conditions and ways the deal could be terminated remain the same, but this specific date has been moved. This means both sides, Israel Acquisitions Corp and Gadfin, have agreed in writing to keep these negotiations going for another month. It's not a completion, but it is also not a shutdown. It suggests they are still working towards closing this business combination. Now let's quickly touch upon what Israel Acquisitions Corp actually does. They are a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC. You often see them listed with units, shares, and warrants. Back in late 2025 and early 2026, we saw these units, which generally are made up of one Class A ordinary share and one redeemable warrant. Trading on the OTC markets under symbols like ISLUF, their Class A ordinary shares traded as ISLWF and the warrants for ISLWF. It is also worth noting that the company identifies as an emerging growth company. This means they benefit from certain regulatory flexibilities, like potentially not having to adhere to the same strict accounting standard timelines as larger, more established companies. This agreement with Gadfin is essentially the core of what Israel Acquisitions Corp is about to find a target company and combine with it, essentially taking that target company public. The extension to May 15th, while seemingly small, can mean a few things. It could indicate that there are still some hurdles to clear, perhaps regulatory approvals, or finalizing some financing aspects of the deal. On the other hand, it could also mean that both parties are getting closer to an agreement, and simply need a little more time to dot the I's and cross the T's. This filing itself doesn't contain extensive financial tables or performance metrics in the main body. Instead, it acts as a notification of a key event, the amendment to their merger agreement. For the deep financial dive and the nitty-gritty details of Gadfin, we typically need to look at other filings or the exhibits attached. The real meat of this amendment is in Exhibit 2.5, which is the actual fourth amendment to the business combination agreement. This specific filing is like a signpost telling us that something important happened and directing us to where we can find the full details. Looking at the signatures, we see Ziv Elul, the Chief Executive Officer and Director, signing off on this. This means the company's leadership is aware of and has authorized this extension. It is a sign they are actively managing the process. My biggest concern with this type of filing is often the signal it sends about the underlying deal. When a SPAC needs to extend its deadline, it can suggest that the proposed merger is facing some obstacles, or that the target company, Gadfin here, might be encountering its own challenges that delay the process. For investors, this means continued uncertainty. While an extension isn't necessarily a death knell, it does keep the outcome of this combination in limbo for a bit longer. We saw similar protracted SPAC merger timelines with companies like Gores Holdings V, which eventually closed its deal with Matterport, but the extended period certainly added volatility for shareholders, in this case with an extension to May 15. We'll be watching closely to see if this is the final push needed to get the deal across the finish line, or if further delays are on the horizon. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and join our Discord.